Welcome to Tya Talk. I am here with Deborah Wilson, Coach Deborah Wilson. I think Carrie is joining us too. She might be running a little behind. We're going to keep this brief today. We're going to try to shorten Tya Talk a little bit so that it's not a full hour every single time. Try to get the information in that you need in a more efficient way. But it's always fun to just chat. So I want to talk about isness, and I want to talk about Tya tools today. So Deborah, how are you?
Wonderful. Yes. Splendid. Enjoying the rare sunshine in England. And
Nice.
yeah.
Nothing.
No,
I was the light is kind of getting me here. So I want to get into a very simple Tya tool. We were sharing this in the meeting earlier. That catching yourself in judgment in the moment and how valuable it is. And I believe that the more you detune fear and judgment in your life across the board, the easier it becomes to access these Tya tools in the moment on demand. And I had an experience this morning where I didn't sleep very well last night. So I kind of overslept and I got up. And I have been very diligent about using the gym here at the house every morning. And I don't want to have any breaks. I want to have the streak, right? Well, I got up this morning late, and with all of the meetings, everything I had scheduled already, I didn't have time to use the gym. So I found myself being very, I was pretty grumpy. I hadn't had coffee yet. And I caught myself in the moment just being down my spiral, which I don't like being down my spiral. I don't think anybody does. It doesn't feel very good to me at this point. And I remember catching myself thinking, the only reason I'm down my spiral right now is because I'm judging this situation as this should not be, which is what judgment is, right? This should not be. I should have time to go to the gym. Well, the judgment of not having time was what was creating my uncomfortable vibration, my lower vibration. And I stopped it in an instant and realized how silly I was being, and realized that, gosh, I went months without working out at all. And now I'm back into it. And I love that I'm back into it. But who cares if I miss a day? I can get right back in tomorrow, or I can go later today, and then I immediately thought about, well, what are three things that I can appreciate in this moment? And boom, vibe went right back up. So that is something that it seems so easy and so simple, and yet you see so much suffering across humanity. And I get that there are far more complex problems in our world than not being able to go to your private gym in your house in the morning. I do understand that. But that works on every topic, though. Anytime we're judging something as this should not be,
right,
we're creating our own suffering in that moment. And the stream has taken us out to the outer limits of what we judge, saying we don't even have to judge that the way that we do. But if you can take it back and apply it to the simple things in your life, you can start to make your everyday, day-to-day life a lot more enjoyable, raising your vibration.
So true. Yeah, we were discussing yesterday with Carrie that it's like the first superpower that I understood was that of appreciation, and like really understanding what a massive superpower is. Literally like having your cape blowing in the wind, and you are so powerful when you get into that full-on radical appreciation. And the second one for me, to really getting this feeling of what a massive superpower as well, the non-judgment is, and really wrap your head. And I think that can be a trickier concept for people, because it is such a seductive side of the matrix. I mean, that is like its bread and butter, isn't it? That judgment component. And it is so, you can feel that visceral pull of like wanting to go. But he was so mean to me. I mean, or like, you're like, oh, but I want someone to, and and that visceral pull. And I was also saying to Kerry, I feel like there's some new teaching that's about to bubble up from the stream around some radical non-judgment or something, because this whole piece of it is absolutely massive and can be that especially not the judging somebody else's experience. I know that is one that causes a lot of difficulty for a lot of people, and for me was because it feels callous, feels heartless, it feels like a lack of compassion when you just, like, as I've shared very openly with my family members of like my sister, and I know she wouldn't mind my sharing of this, of being labeled with a heavy depression, and everybody else is tiptoeing around and going, oh my God, and just, I want her to be better. What can I do to be? And that's all she kept saying to everyone else. I just want to feel better. I just want to feel. And I spent years trying to fix her, like years sending her, bombarding her with Abrahams, and then of course when I found this, like all this, I'm just bombarding, which she of course can't hear when she's down there.
Yeah.
And then when I just stopped all that and said,
Yeah,
you
the
be
problem is
however
pushing
you
her
want to
down
be.
further, her judgment of
Oh yeah,
herself for not being able to be up to speed with all of your stuff.
exactly. Like she was saying, she would say, I'm trying to accept this. I'm trying to surrender to it. It just made her feel worse. And when I went, okay, I'm not bombarding you with anything. I'm coming to be with you. You can be however you want. It's absolutely perfect. I will not talk to you. We can just be in silence. We can go for walks in silence if that is what you want. I accept you exactly as you are. And I know that you are. And I said, all I will say is that I know that the experience you're going through is absolutely fine, and that, yeah. So anyway, that was a bit long-winded, but the non-judgment thing is, I'm feeling very excited about our really sharing this out, and for people to really feel the super power that it is. As we were saying earlier, such simple concepts, but not necessarily easy to really
Well, that's why the practice
get
is
on.
so important. I want to say hi to
Yeah.
Erica Mitchell watching. She said hello.
Hi,
Um,
Erica.
she said hello, loves, actually, which I love that.
Mm. Love. Hello,
So
darling.
the practice is what makes that easier and easier and easier. I'm convinced of that. If you are not practicing active appreciation and practicing detuning transgressors, yes, getting up on the wrong side of the bed and being grumpy is, I don't think it's going to be an appreciation away to just race up your spiral. It takes practice to be able to do that, because my general vibration is higher, and when I'm knocked out of it, it actually feels worse, I think. It's hard for me to remember exactly, but I remember sort of operating at that -5 all the time, where I was always a little angst and always a little nervous and always a little fearful and always a little judgmental. And that was just the way I'd gotten really comfortable. And when I started doing this work, it felt more uncomfortable. And we hear that in boot camp all the time, right? People, oh my God, I'm in boot camp, and now I can feel the low vibration. I can feel that more. Why is that? Well, it's because you're doing work to actively move yourself out of it, and you do become more aware of your vibration. You do become more aware of how often you're operating below zero. That -5 is the standard frequency for humanity. So
Yeah.
I believe that, I come on here and share these tales of, hey, I woke up on the wrong side of the bed and I was grumpy and I changed in an instant, and that's great. But the practice is what led me to be able to do that. Cheryl and David are also watching, so hello to both of them.
Cool.
Hello.
Hi, Cheryl and David.
And I love the discussion and what you brought to light, Deborah, because the best part of beginning that anyone can do that is finding the 3 to 5 things to appreciate, even if you have to fake it till you make it, basically.
Right.
And so, I remember having discussions when I was in boot camp with friends that were asking, of course, what I was doing differently, because they could feel my changes and my vibe of being fully present with them, and allowing myself to not, because I was the same type of person, always feeling like I had to fix them or help them or show them, oh, look at this and listen to this. And now clearly understanding what you just brought to light, when they are in the moment or in the experience of lower vibration, depression, anger, frustration, they can't hear that. But what they can feel is that you're present and allowing and appreciating them for their experience. And anyone can try that, to just sit and listen, to really listen to whoever is sharing their anger, instead of, like you said, getting right in there. Yeah, you should be angry. I'm angry too. And instead of sharing in that, just leaning back a little bit.
Let them have their experience.
Let them have their experience. Kind of like, it reminds me as a parent when I had a child, one of my children, I won't name names, had lovely temper tantrums, like full on, like people stopping and looking, like throw down on the floor, kicking and screaming. And I learned quickly not to feed into that, and to just pick them up and remove them from the situation. We'd go out to the car or wherever, and I would just allow them to wear themselves out. And then, are you finished? Can we go back into the store now? Are you good? Instead of, again, trying to talk to them or reason with them. You can't reason with a 2-year-old. And so when I went through boot camp, I realized I wasn't appreciating that they were having the temper tantrum, because I was not happy with them. But I did quickly learn to allow them to have that experience. And now, of course, I would allow in full joy, and not join them in their upset anger, which would probably diffuse it even quicker.
And not giving into because that must be for parents, but I mean, especially oh my God, having attention drawn to yourself here is tantamount to like, and absolutely not buying into that matrix judgment of everybody is judging me. Everybody is judging me as a parent. I'm a bad parent. That must be, as I say, I never had kids, so it's not something that I've experienced, but I always think that must
The
be
matrix places an immense amount of pressure on parenting.
Oh, huge, eh?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mothers, it's like a given. Oh, you're a mom or a dad. Here's your guilt that goes right along with it. Like, you screwed that kid up already. And when I discovered that I was supposed to, I had this whole new outlook with my children. I'm like, whatever, have your experience.
Yeah, well, the stream has said many times that the only thing a parent owes a child is their point of entry to planet Earth. And that's it.
Right.
Yeah.
So the parent that drops the kid off at a doorstep somewhere, their job is done. But the matrix is very different. The matrix is very judgmental about that stuff.
Mm-hmm.
We want to create this family structure that creates this belief system that works for some, but certainly not everyone.
Mm-hmm.
So what we see now happening across humanity, and why I think Tya is so valuable to humanity, is we are creating another structured belief system that steps outside the matrix. Because there's no fear, there's no judgment, but it's still a belief system.
Mm-hmm.
It's still an operating system. I didn't wallow in my, anger this morning because I couldn't get my workout in. That's a tool. That's a life tool right there. Oh, wait a minute. What, why am I'm judging this? I don't have to be in this space. Let me move out into a space. And then I had a lot of things to do. Like I just felt like I needed to get a list together for the contractor, and he's coming at 9:30, and I had to have a business meeting. And then I had Tya Talk at 9. Oh my gosh. And then as soon as I removed the judgment from all of that, I got it all done.
Isn't that
List
amazing?
is done. The back and forth with the contractor has already happened. He's having his spin out. I'm letting him have it. It's fine.
Mm-hmm.
And we got the meeting done, and it was great and inspiring, and these amazing new ideas. And then here we are having a nice chat. It all just starts to unfold when you just allow. That's when Source speaks to abundance.
Mm-hmm.
That's what abundance is just a brilliant unfolding of allowing things to work out, because the universe is always going to deliver that if we don't get in the way of it.
Oh, yes.
That was great. A brilliant unfolding of allowing things to work out. That's what abundance is. I love that.
Yeah. On all,
Yeah, well,
on,
the Matrix tells us that it's cars and clothes and handbags and
Yeah.
trips. I get that, and those things are great. But
Mhm.
the day to day, there are people with cars and clothes and handbags and trips that are miserable in their
Mhm.
day to day because the effort that it takes to keep all that stuff going is is gnawing at them all the time.
Yeah.
So
And I
why not
love
have the cars and the clothes and the handbags and the trips and know how to be joyful in them?
in them. Yeah.
Right.
The source
Right.
isn't judging having the stuff. Source
No.
isn't saying the stuff is bad. Source is saying the stuff is not joy. The stuff is a joyful experience for a moment, but that's not authentic joy. Authentic
I
joy
think,
is loving yourself and all that is without judgment and fear.
yeah, I
Yeah.
think what they may I allow you to correct you on the stream verbiage, David? It's quite funny that I do that. They say it's pleasure, not joy, don't they? That those
Yeah,
are experiences of pleasure, and joy is the same as everything else in the matrix. It's back to front, but it's joy is only ever an inside out thing, not an outside in ever.
yeah,
And
Yeah.
yeah. That
so
all that external pleasure is just a band aid for usually we seek out for because of a lack of joy.
Yeah.
mm,
And I
mm,
love what you just said, David, because I love these moments of just pure clarity on that these tools to bring joy and clarity operate on every single topic that there is.
mm,
It's
literally.
just like you said, everything got worked out this morning, and you
Yeah,
didn't, and if you would have stayed in the grumpy, right, it would have been a day long of hammering and trying to fit it and fix it and move it and back and forth with your contractor. And it was just like, no, you changed your appreciation for it, had your meeting, and it's finished. It's already moved on,
yeah,
and you
yeah.
made
Yeah.
you
Now
made
I
the
can go do
visit.
my podcast and everything else. So David
Yeah.
has a question.
Oh, I love
Uh,
Oh,
it.
cool. We
getting
love David's questions.
I'm getting close to the end of boot camp, and I'm planning out how I'm going to continue my Tya tools going forward. Any advice for this?
Ooh.
Basically, daily practice for life after boot camp. Well, it's good to have a daily practice for life after boot camp. I would say the advice that I have is be diligent in your practice, and it will pay you back. Um, expect spin outs and learn and use the spin outs as a tool. Understand this: any spin out that you have, you are creating for yourself to propel yourself even higher. And then there's got to be a third thing, right? I can't just do two. The third
Community.
thing is community. I think, community is very important for most people, and that's why we've created all of these, ways to interact with the community. Everything from Taya Base Camp on Facebook, which is a self-managed group, to the various levels of Patreon, to events that we will resume having next year. We're just getting started with this. In terms of a mindset practice, a 4-year-old mindset practice is an infant. It is. I mean, you compare it to Buddhism or Christianity or something like that. It's not a religion. Well, Buddhism isn't really a religion either. It's a mindset practice. It's a modern mindset practice that is an operating system. And we started out this broadcast talking about, again, we're creating this operating system because we need an operating system. We do. We need a belief system. We all run on a belief system, even if it's some default belief system, or if we're out there flailing about, in the matrix, and we're getting drawn into conspiracy theories and politics and the judgment of others' experiences. I see a lot of that right now. I couldn't sleep at 3 a.m., so I was on TikTok, of course, flipping through, and the negative videos on there is always regarding judging someone else's experience, always. And when you operate outside of that, and that doesn't draw you in, and you're not impacted by that, because that think about how much that triggers other people, how much people get triggered. There's this thing now going around. I guess there was a drag show. This might just be my TikTok, but there was a drag show in Dallas, and they had kids there. and more conservative people are losing their minds. Oh my God! Hey, we need to outlaw this. We need to pass a law about this. And it's funny because all that happened like the week after the last school shooting. It's like, yeah, that's what you need to be focusing on. A few kids, a handful of kids attending a drag show, not all the kids getting shot in schools. That's okay. Because and it's just funny watching that. Kind of observing that without diving into the judgment of the experience. Like, okay, that's what you're having. You're having the experience where you think this is the biggest problem across humanity right now because you're judging that somebody chose to take their kid to a drag show. Who cares? Who cares? You're trying to save these people from their experiences. And if you flip to the other side of the political spectrum, you see the same thing. You see teachers, being accused of trying to indoctrinate children into alternative lifestyles, and I know that that's also rooted in trying to save those children from their experience.
Mm-hmm.
Your parents aren't going to teach you this, so we're going to teach you this in school. Well, in the United States, that's a hot button issue for sure. And I look at it, I observe it, and I think, gosh, that is that teacher, their belief system, trying to share their belief system with students from the mindset of I want to save someone from perhaps having the experience that I had as a child.
Mm-hmm.
But you're not going to do that.
Mm-mm.
Here you are functioning and thriving and doing your thing because you had those experiences,
Mm-hmm.
not because you were so overprotected and overcoddled and shielded from everything. I don't think we're in an age where you're going to shield anybody from anything. There's too much information available to everyone one way or another out there to shield someone from their experience.
Yeah.
So the coming back around to the topic of that judgment, of how valuable it is to systematically detune judgment from your life so that you can see things, you can observe them. If you feel yourself getting pulled into the judgment of it, you can correct it. And the more you do that, the more you are stepping out of the matrix, because all that stuff's just designed to draw you into a narrative. Don't you want to agree with me? Don't you want to be on my side of this message? Don't you want to comment that I'm so smart and that's going to feed my ego? And here we are in the matrix having our little ego feast.
Yes. And I'm going to jump in, David. My practical advice for after boot camp is really finding ways to remember your bag of tools that you've been taught. For me, I had to
different ones, right?
Yeah, I had to write myself notes because when I would go DTS, I would forget in the moment how to get out of it. And so I'd be fighting against the DTS moment. So I started keeping, for me, I set reminders on my phone, and I also to check in with my spiral. And then I also wrote myself a list of the things to appreciate, the low thought activities, so that I could look at that list when I was DTS and be like, oh yeah, put music on, dance, have fun. And I know, and Deborah, I know, talks about scheduling in fun for herself, which, as you learn this practice, you look back and you're like, I had to schedule in fun, but you do because you're still new to changing your mindset from your previous belief system to this new belief system. So that's my advice for you.
Brilliant. And I would I would absolutely, we so want you to come to Expanded, like sí o sí, as we say in Spanish. It is a brilliant place to be, and it is a great way to really maintain your practice. And we would love to have your questions and your wonderful self there in Expanded. But to have an accountability partner, like from as soon as you graduate, I would so thoroughly recommend having an accountability partner with whom you make a day every single week to have a conversation. And the community aspect for me is massive. And the thought of just going completely cold turkey out into the wilderness immediately after graduating, I knew that wasn't going to work for me, and I just would love everybody to be really, excuse me, uplifted by the community, and it helps so massively with maintaining your practice. So, excuse me.
All really good advice. Really, really good advice, and a good question, because it is a practice, and it is a practice that you work on, and you work on yourself. The thing to do too, though, I think a lot of times we think that there's some finish line that we're going to cross, and we're just going to get it all, and it's just going to be, oh my gosh, life is so amazing. We cycle through these big up levels where it absolutely feels like, oh my gosh, I know it all now, everything's great, life is amazing. Generally, that vibration doesn't just live on forever, though. That becomes your new default, and then because we're expansive beings, we want more, and very often in the judgment of not receiving more, we create a spin out. So a big part of Tya is appreciating the low vibe information and the spin outs, and when you fall off the wagon, that's built right into it, because that is part of it. Our vibrational journey. That's what the stream talks about a lot. The vibrational journey, up and down, twists and turns. It's through a mountain range, definitely. And there's the exit from the mountain range is crossing over back into non-physical. And so let's not expect to exit the mountain range. Let's just remember there's going to be ups and downs and twists and turns and all of this stuff. And it's about enjoying the journey through the mountain range. So enjoy your practice and enjoy peeling away those layers of, wow, there's another layer of vibrational baggage that I have in my basement that I didn't even realize I had until it bubbled up for me. And I found that to be true. You clear out all this stuff. You think, all right, I'm all done now. I'm clear. It's great. I have a basement. And then something else is just going to bubble up and present itself. But you get to a point where that becomes the joy of the practice, because you're not needing that perfection anymore. You're not needing to be in high vibe all the time, because you're not judging your vibrational journey. And I think that's where the magic in all of this resides.
Yeah. Oh, David, I loved that. Because I agree. I think the magic really, really starts to present itself after boot camp. And as Deborah said, in the community, being able to reach out to an accountability partner or, any Tya practitioner and saying, oh my gosh, I just had the spin out and you will not believe what I discovered. And just in the excitement of sharing that journey, and then those new questions pop up. And it's just, I love it, because I feel for me, it's always keeping me guessing and thinking, and like an explorer or an adventurer, where's this path going to lead? What's this spin out going to show me? And it takes practice to get to that point, but you can get there quickly by appreciation for the spin outs. I love that, David. That is where the magic lies, I believe.
Yeah.
It is, but it can be, it is a process to get there for sure. That was the aspect that I was always a little dubious about. As I say, I always implicitly trusted the three of you that I would get there, but it did take a minute to get to that place of really understanding, now I get it. So I would say not to judge yourself if you're not there, and not to look for it either. But it just when you it is an inevitable consequence of this practice, which it's only just occurred to me that it's completely inevitable, isn't it? But you do have to keep doing the practice, and then you will inevitably get to that instantaneous, hey, great, there's this transgressor, which I never thought was, that I would get to. But as I say, don't look for it. Don't judge yourself when you don't, but just know that it is inevitable.
Yeah. And the community part, again, I can't stress enough how important it is to create some sort of community for yourself of other people who understand how you operate, because
Yeah.
this is very opposite of the matrix, and everybody else is in the matrix, and we're operating largely outside of it. And when you're talking about, not judging the things that the matrix tells you have to judge, people think you're off your rocker because they don't understand it and they're not into it deep enough. And you can't lead with that. You can't lead with the radical appreciation of all that is. There's always going to be, let me pull out the list of things that I know you don't appreciate this. Yeah, I do.
Mhm.
Then you're a monster. Callous, that's the word that comes up. It seems callous. But what the sitting in judgment of anything, what does that really do? What are you doing for anybody by judging their experiences? This should not be. You're not offering any positive vibration in that. So we'll wrap up there. I promised to keep this one a little shorter, and I think we got a lot of good information in. Thank you all for watching live. Thank you, David, as always, for your fabulous questions. I am not going to be on this week on Claim Your Power, but I will be doing Sunday Soul Food again Sunday morning, so that will be the next time I'm on live. And I don't know, is there anything else we need to share with them, Carrie or Deborah?
No.
We're set. All right. Well, thank you all. Deborah, Carrie, thank you for joining me. It's always fun to have co-hosts on these.
Yes, thank you. Thank you for inviting us. I love our
Thank you.
Thank you all.
Right. Bye.
Bye.